Hello, Goslings. How you been? Welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of Comic Corner. And today we're going to start off with Stargirl and the Lost Children, written by Jeff Johns, as part of his whole New Golden Age line, which I'm really excited for. And this story again didn't disappoint. So this sort of starts off with a flashback, or rather, sort of an introspection of the kid's sidekick Dynamite. And what's really cool about that, it sort of talks about what it is to be a sidekick, how the media is the one that gave them the term sidekick, but during the golden age, just about every adult superhero had a kid sidekick. It was fun. They were usually kids that didn't have a family. So in other words, it meant something to those sidekicks to really sort of be taken in by this hero. And if you look at, say, Batman, who's famous for his sidekicks, that is something that carries on there. Like you don't take kids from happy families and make them sidekicks. It's just weird. And then we cut to how TNT is killed in action, Dynamite sort of left behind, and sort of the book he writes about it. But then we cut to the real sort of present day with Courtney Whitmore, aka Stargirl, giving us a rundown about how her stepdad, Pat Dugan, was the sidekick to the first kid superhero, which I thought was cool, and how later she's become the new Stargirl and sort of balancing her life between being, a superhero and a teenage. Like, she was Kim Possible before Kim Possible, really. And so now she's grounded because, she's doing a bit too much superhero work, not enough time at school, being a quote-unquote normal girl. The only clothes she washes is her superhero costume, which it's weird. I always, like, you never quite hear exactly what goes into looking after a superhero costume. Does she just put it in the washing machine? Weird. I guess you can't take it to the cleaners, but, whatever. And so her mom, I think, gives a great line, like, I heard you fought, I took you to school Monday and you fought Solomon Grundy. And she's like, well, Mom, it's Grundy. He's back on a Monday. It's his thing, Mom. And she points out, I dropped you at school and that was supposed to be it. So that wasn't even JSA business. She went off with Red Arrow. And that's sort of where this really sort of goes in, is that she's been spending a lot of time with Red Arrow, and because she and Red Arrow have been investigating what the Crimson Avenger said in the pages of Stargirl Spring Break last year, where we thought this book would be out last year. But whatever. What matters is we're here now. We're in the present. And Pat's like, no, that was a weird time to displace Crimson Avenger. Crimson Avenger's dead. His sidekick's dead. We found the body. It's fine. What they really just want is Courtney to take a step back and just spend less time with Red Arrow, who I guess we think is a bit loony. Also, she has no real friends. Courtney's like, well, I don't have real friends either. And they're like, the entire JSA is your friend. And like, true. And we go from there. So Courtney promises, like, fine, I'll spend less time with Red Arrow. And then that night, Red Arrow shows up, like, you ready to go? She's like, yeah, let's go. So they're going to investigate this idea of the child miner, who's been kidnapping sidekicks, this entity that the Spectre sort of warned Courtney about. So that's interesting. They go to the house of Kid Dynamite, or just Dynamite. I always think he should be Kid Dynamite, but whatever. And they sort of find out that he's been researching other kids' superheroes. In other words, something else is going on that's affecting the kids' sidekicks. They've all gone missing. So what's going on here? What's going on there? And before they can investigate the radio where he's communicating from, it's destroyed, and they realize they got to go out to sea. All right, we got to get a boat. And lo and behold, there he is with the rings, sinking down, and he washes up ashore to find himself young again. And he's like, it's cursed. You should have never come here, Mr. Dunbar. And that's how the comic ends. Overall, Stargirl and the Lost Children was, I think, a fine setup. I think it really does depend on how invested you are in the concept of kid sidekicks. They always were a bit of a weird concept. That sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. There's a reason, really, for the most part, when you think of kid sidekicks, for the most part, you only really think of Robin. Because most of them just don't seem to work, just aren't that interesting. Next, we have a fun one. We decided to go a little esoteric here, and we went with Star Wars Yoda, written by Kevin Scott. Now, Kevin Scott has pretty much just stayed in Star Wars land, for all I recall. So that was interesting to me. She wrote the first High Republic comic that came out, and we talked about that for a bit. It was hit and miss. I wasn't really feeling it. And to be fair to this story here, it is what it is. That's sort of the worst thing about it. So this opens up. I like how it opens up. It opens up on Dagobah with Yoda meditating. A voice talks to him, and it really is just sort of a memory of something that happened on another planet, which is weird because it does matter. Same time, it doesn't matter what this planet is, but this planet is being attacked by raiders. And I thought, okay, that is, well, this island on this planet is being attacked by these raiders. And the whole time I'm thinking, what does this have to do with anything? But Yoda, they sent a message to the Jedi Council, and that's the weird part about this, is that it goes straight to the Jedi Council, not to Coruscant or to any other planet, because it takes place in the Outer Rim. So in other words, around Tatooine, where Tatooine would be, but it couldn't get a message to any other system, any other planet. Like, you would think you'd reach Naboo before you reached the Outer Rim, but whatever, okay, sure. So Yoda decides to go down there, and he fights off the raiders, and for some reason Yoda feels that after fighting them off and even stopping the island boys from killing the raiders, like, no, let them go. He says, like, you know what, until this gets resolved, I'm living here. This is my home now as well. And even the Jedi Council is sort of weirded out by Yoda making this decision. The Jedi Council, which seems rather divided on whether or not they should have gone to help, which is weird in itself, but I think weird for the wrong way. But anyway, the next day, they have a party. Yoda's like, yeah, sure, whatever, we're here. I've got a lot to learn about this culture. And the Raider's like, you win this round, little green man, but there'll be others. And I'm like, you guys don't know. You guys don't know. And that's sort of how the comic ends. So Star Wars Yoda was all right. I think that's the best way to sum it up. It's not bad. It's not great. It just sort of is. The reason I picked it up, I think the reason most people picked it up, it's Yoda. He doesn't have a lot of material. Even in the old EU canon, he had one book. It was a really good book, Dark Rendezvous. You gotta read it. And the High Republic seems to be rather loose on him too. I think because no one quite knows what story to tell with Yoda. He's either this 800 centuries old Jedi Master. What lesson does he have to learn? Really, it's just that he's always willing to learn, which is a bit of a contradiction between how he sets himself up in other materials. Like he's always sort of set up as he was the one that failed the Jedi Order because he refused to let the Jedi change. He refused to lead the Jedi Order into any form of change. So, yeah, which is also the reason I don't like the High Republic. So, what? At all point, all this really cool, really fan-fiction stuff was acceptable. Then Yoda became in charge. He's like, well, get rid of all of it. All of it gone. All of it gone. You know, the rock bands, the monster hunt, the treasure hunt. No. Stoic white robes, white and brown. All right, except the black guy. He can wear like a beige robe, and he gets to sit there with his purple lightsaber. It doesn't quite work, which is, I hate to say it, where the old canon was sort of a bit better in fusing the Ruusan reformations, which is its own separate thing. But overall, I think this issue was solid. It was better than Kenobi one. So hopefully this will keep that momentum going. Also, or will it just be a worse version of the one we got from the Kenobi story in the main Star Wars comic? Which at some point we have to do a comic run on that, because I think that was a good run. And finally, to tie it all up, we have Dark Crisis, The Dark Army, written by Mark Waid. So, I'm sorry, that's part of the whole Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, The Dark Army. We have a tie-in before we get to our final issue of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this one's kind of funny, kind of not. It's solid. That's really, I think, all it is. So, this story opens up with, Damian Wayne sort of giving us a recap of exactly what's going on, namely the fact that, the Justice League is, of course, gone, and that in the wake of them being gone, a bunch of, B-stringers have stepped up to the plate, and, they're not there. They're not quite there yet, which I think is an unfair assessment from Damian. A lot of these heroes are very capable, but what Damian it's sort of the idea that Damian doesn't respect them. But he does say this, is that, their nobility in this moment is beyond question, which I think shows Damian's growth over the idea. Like, there is great honor and, stepping up, at least even trying to step up in the wake of such great loss to face such insurmountable odds. Odds. What is obs? And he has his own plan, which we saw in the previous issue that he does have an idea about what he wants to do next, what needs to be done. But to do it, he's going to need a team. And John is busy, like, getting ready to sacrifice himself to, help fend off the Dark Army, buy time for the heroes to call the Justice League back. And so, well, actually, it's Free Pariah. And so what he needs is he needs a team. I need a team of heroes that are important enough that people know them, but not too important to explain why they're needed on this way off mission and not in the current book. So he picks Sideways, a character from the Age of Heroes initiative after the events of Dark Knight's Metal. Spider-Man knockoff, but Spider-Man knockoff with Nightcrawler's powers. It's weird. Power Girl. From JSA renown, which is a really fun character, by the way. Dr. Light, who has been sort of all over the place in terms of Justice League history, so it's nice to see her doing something. And that is sort of sort of the team he wants. He wants, someone who can teleport. He wants muscle. He wants energy. But now he needs a brain. He needs brain power. So who looks to Booster Gold? Pff, no. Blue Beetle? No. Frankenstein? No. Red Arrow? Oh, no. So like, me, I have to be the brains. And so then we go off and we meet Red Canary, and I'm just, who are you? Where have you been? Just, he doesn't even know. David's like, who are you? And why do I look like I'm 19 in this picture? It's like even Dame is low-key crushing on her. But she's like, yeah, I just sort of was here, got sent with you guys. And she talks, hey, I found these excrement sticks, and I've taken jujitsu and, some bunch of other stuff. Dame is like, this is not the time. Look, I picked these chuckleheads because they at least have some experience and they know what they're doing. Technically, Dr. Light and Power Girl have been on numerous Justice League teams over the years. So, yeah, Sideways can teleport. Whether he's good at his job or not, in terms of superhero, he can get us in and out of here. We don't need another street-level person here. There's always rules. For every superpowered team, just one street-level person. Damian's the street-level person. But anyway, they go through, and they end up on Earth 53, where everyone is gorilla. And the reason we're here is because it has something special. A cosmic tuning fork from the pages of Infinite Crisis, written by Jeff Johns. Not this particular one, but that's where I don't think it's the first time we see the cosmic tuning fork. I'm pretty sure it's in Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths. But whatever. Power Girl's not happy to see this because she was once rigged up to that like a battery. So, she's kind of triggered. But Damon's like, look, we don't have time for that. Well, this is going to be our key. So they try to hack into it. There's a gorilla sign. She's like, dude, you don't want to be in this thing. Then a bunch of shadow demons attack. But luckily, shadow demons are Dr. Light's specialty. Like, yeah, in the light. But then, of course, a la Power Ranger style, we make a big one. And Dr. Light's like, okay, Power Girl, hit me with your laser beams. That's light. I convert light into energy. And boom, boom, ba-doom, we take it out. A la Power Rangers style. In other words, it explodes. So then we go to the House of Heroes at the Bleed with the information we have from Earth 53. And the whole computer's shut down. So the Bleed is sort of like this little layer on the outside of our universe before we get to the rest of the multiverse. I need to read Multiversity. The problem is every time I see this, I just stop caring. But anyway, they're here. They're met by Marvel. He's like, this computer's not supposed to be on because if it's on, it attracts the Dark Army. If the Dark Army gets here, they'll be able to spread to the multiverse even greater. So yeah, turn it off. Everyone's like, we should probably turn it off. Too late. Just League Incarnate's here, all possessed by the Dark Army. And Rabid Captain Carrot. I was not ready for Rabid Captain Carrot. All right. So now this whole sort of battle goes on, and it turns out the key to this, that even Dame didn't realize, was Dr. Light. Because it turns out the monitors and all of them have looked to Dr. Light as like this one constant in the multiverse in one form or another, including the problematic one from Identity Crisis. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so we don't talk about that Dr. Light. But anyway, so now Dr. Light reaches her super form. all right, where only light prevails, and she's able to destroy the dark chains of the Dark Army. I'm like, okay, I like it. I also love this design. It's nice to see Dark Light getting some love. So it was like, okay, so we're back. We're all good now, right? All right, we can go. We can go try to resolve this plot. Like, let's go resolve this plot. And Damian's like, well, I was trying to, take control of the shackles of the Dark Army, but I guess destroying them is just as good. Only Damian. So like, all right, guys, let's go. And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Dark Crisis of the Dark Army is not mandatory reading. It's fun. It's the job done, I would say. But did we need this? No, we didn't need this. We didn't need this. Mark Waid is clearly trying to like dip his toe in, show off what he can do. Of course, Mark Waid didn't have to do this. I think he just wanted in on it. I think it may tie into his event Lazarus Planet, which is weird that we're going to end this story by finishing off another Crisis sort of reboot event. But whatever. It was nice to see Power Girl. Seriously, it was nice to see Power Girl again. I've never actually heard Sideways say anything, because I never read his book during the Age of Heroes initiative, so I didn't bother with that one. Dark Delight's always nice to see her again. Damian leading a team that I don't think he would ever associate with any other time, I felt was nice. Why Sideways didn't find his way onto the Teen Titans or a Young Justice S team, to me, is weird. I feel to me that's a great way to send kid heroes who don't quite have a place to belong, but need a place to sort of show off, and that would have done him a better service. But whatever. It was nice to see Earth 53, Monkey Town, Monkey World. And a Cosmic Tuning Fork, Power Girl being like, kind of messed up, you brought me here. I have no idea what Red Canary is doing there, other than to just be, was that? It'd be amazing if that was Huntress. Like if that was Huntress from Earth 2. But no, it's not. I doubt it is. Overall, though, it was fun. So anyway, with that in mind, that's bringing this video to close. If you are new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.